Is Bradley Beal going to ruin a Jimmy Butler to Phoenix trade? I'm Trevor Lane. He's Stu the Studio Cat. We've got the latest on the Jimmy Butler situation and why Bradley Beal's no trade clause continues to be a big issue for the Phoenix Suns. Make sure you guys do subscribe right here to the Basketball Bulletin. We'll keep you up to date on all things NBA trade deadline related. So this is via Dwayne Rankin of the Arizona Republic, who talked to Bradley Beal's agent, Mark Bartelstein. And Bartelstein said the reports that are out there are created out of thin air, referencing the idea that Beal would lift his no-trade clause if Milwaukee, Denver, Miami, or the Lakers were trade destinations. Brad's entire focus has been and is on getting healthy with his ankle and helping turn things around for the Suns. He also said on the no-trade clause, Beal has worked very hard to earn the no-trade and is of tremendous value. Being a professional athlete brings all kinds of amazing blessings. However, the part of the business that every player dreads is having no control over his future when it comes to trades. And so the fact that we have control of that aspect of Brad's career is something that is extremely precious and is an asset that we would certainly never want to relinquish. Okay, so that got a lot of people thinking, can the Suns even get Devin Booker? Can the Suns even get Jimmy Butler then? Because of the situation here with the no-trade clause with Bradley Beal. Essentially, Beal, in order to get Jimmy Butler, Beal has to be the piece going out. He really has to, unless you're going to do something crazy and you're going to decide to move on from Kevin Durant, you're going to decide to move on from Devin Booker, something like that. It's got to be Bradley Beal. The Suns, they're well into the second tier of the NBA's apron system, which means that they cannot aggregate salaries in a trade. They can't put together like Yusuf Nurkic and Grayson Allen and Royce O'Neal and then cobble together enough salaries to go get Jimmy Butler. They can't do it. They can send out one player and one player by himself. That's it, which means it would have to be Bradley Beal in order for the Suns to land Jimmy Butler, unless, again, they decided to do something shocking and go get Kevin Durant or Devin Booker. Now, the Suns, the trade they made the other day, turning their 2031 first-round pick into 3 first-round picks, less valuable first, but 3 first-round picks nonetheless, does appear to be paving the way for a Jimmy Butler trade to Phoenix. But now you've got Bartelstein reiterating that, we're not going to be waiving that no-trade clause. Or is he? I think there's a couple ways that you can read this, especially when you go a little bit further into the context here and into what he's saying. He says, having said that, I never operate in terms of absolutes, meaning that we would never say there would never be a trade that you would not consider. You always keep an open mind like everyone does in all aspects of their life. And so if something was to come around that you were truly excited about, you always have to consider those things. So is he really saying that they simply will not waive the no trade? No, but he's saying they're not having that conversation right now. They haven't had that conversation at this point. And so it is not official. It's not like Bradley Beal has said, oh, yes, I will waive the no trade for the Bucks, the Lakers, the Nuggets, the Heat. Recent reporting suggests that the Suns haven't had that conversation with Bradley Beal just yet. They haven't talked trade with him yet. They're focused more on the Jimmy Butler side and getting that all together. So when Bradley Beal's agent is saying, well, we wouldn't just waive the no trade clause, I think what he's really referring to is that they wouldn't get rid of the no trade clause. Here's the thing about that no trade. It is perpetual, which means that if Bradley Beal were to be traded to any team, he would have to waive his no trade in order to be traded to that team, but the no trade clause would still exist. So let's say he gets traded to the Bucks. He would be on the Bucks and still have a no trade clause, right? So he would just have to approve getting traded to the Bucks. That doesn't mean the no trade would go away. There was some talk that maybe he would be willing, in order to help grease the wheels of a trade, he would be willing to completely get rid of the no trade clause, to remove that from his contract in order to get a team to take him. But Bartelstein is saying, no, we're not doing that. Like, we've worked really hard to have that. And this is a very rare thing. There's 2 no trade clauses in the NBA that are actual no trade clauses. And that is Bradley Beal's and LeBron James. That's it. Those are the only 2 players in the NBA, because it's difficult to meet the contractual requirements to qualify for a no trade. And based on the way things have gone with Bradley Beal, I'd have to say we're probably not going to see another no trade clause in the near future. They're a pain in the butt for teams. It's a problem here in this situation. Bradley Beal can destroy any trade he wants simply by saying, nope, I'm not going to be traded to that team. And that's it. Game over. So if Beal decides, I don't want to leave Phoenix, that's it. Phoenix doesn't get Jimmy Butler. That's really what it comes down to. Now, there was talk that maybe Phoenix decided to have him to come off the bench in order to maybe push him out the door a little bit and all of that. I'm not saying Beal is going to be, stamping his feet and saying, no, I won't go. But he does have the ultimate power in this situation. I do love that it's kind of agent speak here, though, and that saying, well, would never operate in terms of absolute. So I'm not saying we wouldn't consider doing something like this, but as of right now, obviously that conversation hasn't happened, saying it's simply not true that that he would lift his no trade clause if Miami, Denver, Milwaukee, or the Lakers were the trade destination, saying that's not true, but that doesn't necessarily mean that if they bring that to him a week from now, he wouldn't say, okay. He certainly could. If they bring him a trade to any of those teams a week from now, he could still say, okay. Bartleside's just saying, hey, those reports are out of thin air. We haven't said that. Haven't said that we would lift the no trade clause, but we would consider anything, just like you do in any aspect of your life. You would come at it with an open mind, and we would consider all of these things. What we won't do, though, is completely waive the no trade clause. So this is certainly something worth keeping an eye on. They're not going to completely waive the no trade and remove it from his contract. Bartlestein is not going as far as to say that they won't waive the no trade for the one deal to send him to, say, Milwaukee, which has been the hottest rumor of all of them right now. But they're not there yet. They haven't had that conversation yet. We'll see where this all goes, but making it clear that they will not completely remove that no trade clause from the contract. So this situation's a mess. Jimmy Butler got suspended last night. I did a video on that yesterday. You guys can make sure you check that out. But Jimmy Butler suspended another 2 games for Miami. The Heat need to move on from him. The Suns appear to be the team that really want to land him, and a team that's willing to pay him on his next contract, which is a big part of why Jimmy wants to go to Phoenix. But again, it's ultimately going to come down to Bradley Beal. Is he willing to waive the no trade clause or not? Does he want to go to the Bucks? Do the Bucks even want him? I'd argue the Bucks would be better off trying to trade for Zach LaVine, unless there's like incentive coming. And maybe that's why the Suns split their 2031 pick into 3 firsts. Maybe it's so they can send some draft capital to Miami and some draft capital to the Bucks in exchange for taking Bradley Beal and having the headache of the no trade clause. Because if I really want a scoring guard next to Damian Lillard, which I don't even think is a great fit, but if I decide for whatever reason I'm Milwaukee and I decide that's what I want, I'd rather have the conversation with Chicago about Zach LaVine and see what we can do there. And let's also not forget the Bucks, to get into on any of this. They're a second-tier apron team as well. They have to shed Pat Connaughton off their roster to drop below the second-tier apron so they can aggregate salaries in a trade. All a very, very complicated situation under the rules of the new CBA. These teams are trying to figure things out, trying to find a way to get this done. I still think ultimately Jimmy winds up elsewhere. This is getting to be just a mess, right? I mean, this is a disaster for Miami, everything going on with Jimmy. Everybody needs to just get this done and wash their hands of the situation. Walk away. Just walk away from this situation, get this done, and get him off the roster. That's basically what Miami needs to do. Jimmy needs to get to a new place, get away from Miami. Clearly, he's not fond of the Heat anymore. Everybody needs to move on. I think that by the trade deadline, February 6th, they figure it out. They figure out a way to get it done. But once again, keep an eye on this Bradley Beal trade situation. He has not agreed, according to his agent, not agreed to waive the no trade for any team right now. Maybe if they bring to him a trade that he particularly likes, then he will. But the bottom line is the power all rests in the hands of Bradley Beal. If he says, no, I'm not leaving Phoenix, that's it. Jimmy Butler to the Suns would be dead. So certainly worth keeping an eye on as we move forward here towards that February 6th trade deadline. Everybody, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Don't forget, go check out that video I did on Jimmy Butler getting suspended yet again.